Chapter 14. I looked at least as beautiful as Ivy, though in a different way. Grander, not so delicate. Strangest of all, despite being so greatly altered, I was somehow still myself. I touched my face, but I couldn't feel any difference. Could I really have become beautiful? I raised my head to the mirror above the dressing table, and there was my ugly face. I looked into the hand mirror. Beautiful again. I turned the hand mirror over, seeking a clue to the mystery. Carved into the wood was the word "Skolny." Ivy called out for a towel. I looked into the hand mirror, "Skolny" again. Now I saw nothing. No reflection, only glassy gray. How could that be? Then Skolny clarified. I saw my usual reflection. "Oh, Lady Asa, where's my towel?" I fetched the towel. What had I seen? I gave Ivy my arm to lean on as she stepped out of the tub. Had I imagined the reflection? I helped her into her satin shift, which buttoned in the back. I began to button it, but had to stop because my hands were trembling. She laughed. "I'd hoped for a speedy lady-in-waiting." "I'm sorry, Your Majesty." I took a breath and my hands steadied. So that was how I'd look if I was beautiful. When she was dressed in a coral-colored gown with embroidered sleeve liners, she sat at the dressing table while I brushed her hair. "Did you learn the song?" "Yes, Your Majesty." I sang the melody. "Would you mouth the words?" She sat on the bed and did so. I accompanied her softly, although I could hardly keep my mind on the song. My beautiful face floated before me. A magic mirror! Did it produce only illusions, or might its magic alchemize me from lead into gold? I pity anyone who's never experienced an Iorthian sing. Participants in a sing, especially a healing sing, are wrapped in an embrace of fellow feeling, neighborliness, kinship, love. Yes, love. The embrace was particularly loving tonight, because the sick one was our adored king. But I felt apart from the embrace, because of the role I was about to play. Prince Ajori sat next to me, with Ivy on his other side. I felt his disapproval of me, although he had said nothing. Uchu put her head in my lap. I patted her with a trembling hand. Singers perform in reverse order according to their rank. Ivy was slated to sing last. I wasn't her lady-in-waiting yet, and as an unknown commoner, I was to sing first. People were still settling in their seats. Silk and satin rustled. I heard whispered greetings. Sir Ulu raised his gold baton. We all began to hum. He nodded at me. I stood and took a step, and my slipper heel caught on the hem of my underskirt. I stumbled and would have fallen, except that Prince Ajori saved me. His hand was on my elbow, and his arm was around my waist. I almost fainted. He lurched, because of my weight, no doubt. He caught himself, and when we were steady again, he released me. I mounted the steps to the stage, praying to remain upright. Laughter rippled through the crowd. They were laughing at me. My stumble, or my ensemble, or simply my person. I looked down to hide my blush and saw the true reason for the laughter. Uchu had followed me up to the stage and was sitting at my side, apparently ready to sing. My first note was a mumble. I couldn't get enough air to sing. I heard a low whistle. Uchu raised her head, then trotted down from the stage. I found my breath and began. By the third line, everyone was silent, listening. By the beginning of the second stanza, many were holding hands and swaying. The Duchess was swaying, but not holding anyone's hand. She wasn't a hand-holder. My melody was intricate, but I hoped it wasn't daunting. I wanted a mantra to sound idyllic and remind people of their home villages. I wanted my song to reach the king and remind him of his loving subjects beyond Antio. That might strengthen him. And the hint is soft in music. I finished with a tricky trill. Most of the hands in the hall went up. Prince Ajori's hands were up, and he was smiling. Even Frying Pan near the door raised hers. Ivy's hands were up, but her expression was angry. She was jealous of my voice. Jealous, even though she needed my voice for her voice. I left the stage. The next singer took my place. I reviewed Ivy's song and discovered that I couldn't remember one of the sentences. A complete sentence! Ivy would have to leave it out. But how could I tell her in the middle of a sing? The missing sentence returned to me. Everyone would hate it. I reviewed the song again and again. Eventually, I came out of my fright and heard the remaining songs. Some were adapted healing incantations from Eorth's primitive past. Some were remembrances of the king. Some were exhortations to him to rise and defeat his injury. My favorite was the physician's. This is a bit of it. In dreams, friends flow to me. They murmur, make me well. Don't let me die, I mumble incantations. Get well, do not die. O king, you float to me. Your face is granite. I raise you above the water. I push you below. I acquaint you with the tides. Do not die. My second favorite was the choir master's. Sir Ulu said that he'd been unable to sing when he heard the news. Now his voice cracked twice. The cracking, unintended and heartfelt, only added to the beauty of his song. After the choir master, it was Prince Ajori's turn. I smiled encouragingly at him, as if my encouragement would matter. This was how he began. My lord, are you in pain? Uncle, are you in pain? I wept. It was hard to bear to think of the king in pain. He ended with, I wish my head had borne the blow that felled a king. Oh, I didn't wish that. I wished no one had been hurt. After Prince Ajori's song, Princess Eleni sang. Ivy was next. My throat was closing. Someone would catch us. I'd never mislead them all. When the princess finished singing, Ivy rose. She didn't seem frightened. She'd do her part perfectly, but I'd fail. We'd both be disgraced. I'd go to prison. My throat was dry. I swallowed, but no saliva came. I couldn't sing with a dust-dry throat. She held her arms at her sides, palms out, as the other singers had done. She threw back her head and opened her mouth. I came in on time. I gave her mother's voice, bell-like and clear as mountain air. It was as delicate as Ivy herself, with unexpected reserves of force and air. Sir Ulu dropped his baton. Dear Oscaro, I miss you dreadfully, more dreadfully than even your head must hurt. I stayed with her on every word. She caught my eye and smiled as she sang. I blushed. Several people swayed and nodded. Sir Ulu picked up his baton. I sensed his ears almost vibrating with the intensity of his listening. I didn't let my voice waver or my mouth move, but my jaw felt like ice. I have not yet stopped weeping. I hope my singing pleases you. I am arrayed in a yellow gown, yellow for sadness. The swaying slowed. The words were what a child might write. If I look well, it is for you. The gown's pretty train stands for my grief, which drags behind me wherever I go. I will rule Eortha for you, so you must not worry. I will be a powerful queen. Fewer and fewer people swayed or nodded. She began the part that didn't sound like her. I shall expect obedience, loyalty, and respect from my subjects. I saw people exchange looks. She was no longer singing about the king, and nothing in her words would help him get better. The hallmarks of my rule will be a firm hand and a stern heart. I will rely on the governing principles of my native Caria. At the mention of Caria, I felt the mood in the hall turn angry. They say this sing will make you better. I will make Eortha better as well. I live for your awakening. My gaze happened to fall on Frying Pan, who looked like a pot about to boil over. A few people dared to stamp their feet. Ivy smiled her most dazzling smile. She must have felt everyone's response. I would have run off the stage, but she continued to mouth words. I sang the ending. Your affectionate wife and ruler of Aortha, Queen Ivy. She held out her arms as though receiving a tribute. She turned from side to side, including everyone. Then she left the stage, not hurrying, still smiling.